Right, I'm going to try and quickly run through everything. So starting with the DXY, we can see it hit 108, which is quite impressive. I mean, I thought 107.5-ish would be the top. You can see that little extra peak here. It touched it, tagged it tight, like perfectly. Comes all the way back down to pretty much 106. It dipped below that. We're pretty much stabilizing at 106. So we're still holding the highs. I mean, look, we've come from 100 all the way up to 106 after a small retracement. Now, what do we do? Let's see, 107.5, 108. Do we retest them? It should be quite difficult to get back to 108. However, euro dollar, that bounced after flushing this 105. If we go back to parity, which a lot of people are talking about, and the time nears when we get to inauguration, do we move down as we near inauguration and then does the trend reverse, buy the rumor, sell the fact? So I actually think that we will retest parity. I don't know if we get that. I think we will. DXY probably will go back up to 108 in that event and maybe reach a little higher, which may not be the end of the world for gold because actually gold's been going up a lot with the dollar and they haven't really been too correlated. So, but it's definitely worth watching. DXY and euro dollar in particular, US dollar, Japanese yen, that'll be interesting too. You can see that's come all the way back down to this 149.5, perfectly tagged. Do we move back up? If we do, if we get up here, remember this is system breaking stuff. If US dollar, Japanese yen goes above like, well, even if it gets just being in the 150s is bad enough, but we start retesting this 160 zone. That's system breaking stuff, and that's what happened last time. That was the yen carry trade, which destroyed everything for a couple of weeks. So that's dollar, definitely worth keeping your eye on. Let's look at yields starting off with 30. That came down with the dollar, of course, but that was weaker. Yields have been weaker than the dollar, respectively speaking, especially the longer end. 10 years, same stuff, coming back down. You can see they're very similar. Look at that coming back down to this fire resistance should act as support. So I think they look pretty similar. And the two, I mean, that's holding up quite well. Let's see when we move back up this week. I suppose we will bounce a little bit. Or do we go back down? I don't know. But if we do, let's see. Let's see what happens. Does it move back up to this zone with the DXY? So yields worth keeping an eye on. Let's go straight to gold, which is down 1% here. Monday morning, I'm doing a video. I didn't get to do it during the weekend, but here I am early Monday morning, and we're already down 1% in gold. I mean, otherwise, I would have said that gold looks okay, honestly, if I'd done it like last night, which I tried to do. But here, down 1%, who knows? It could be the low of day, and we just inch back up, and it just becomes another sideways day. But regardless, right? Where's your support and resistance? Support for gold, quite obviously, is 2,600. It is a big round number. It was the low we put in on this day. It's kind of like an obvious zone. Like even today, if we were to go a bit lower, the maximum we're going to get to is 2,600, then bounce, and then we'll see until there's news. What comes below 2,600? Well, there's this strong ascending support, right? It's strong. It's very strong, and it should come in around. You can give it a couple of dollars. I would say 25.70. It might just end up being correlated with the low of these candles, like on open close basis. Now I'll leave it. I'll leave it. Let's just say this zone, right? You always have these stop loss hunt taking place. People will just try and trigger those stop losses, but that's more on horizontal support. I would say roughly 25.70 is your support. So 2,600, 25.70. But I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of bounce from where we are now. 1% is quite a lot. I thought we'd go up actually because there was a bit of drama, Syria escalation. I thought at least we wouldn't go down. And also that close on Friday was the best close we had all week. So I'm quite surprised that it's down. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Some appointment from Trump. No, it doesn't really make sense to me. But okay, it doesn't really matter because it's actually in the grand scheme of things sideways. If you're not violating 2,600 on a close, and honestly, if you're not violating this 2665 high of last week on a close, which we're far from doing, the day's just started, nothing really matters. But you know what? This kind of does matter. I really hate putting too many lines in, but this one would matter because it was the high of the week. So I mean, we're not going to do it today, are we? This will take 1 or 2 or 3 days, maybe. I don't know, unless you recover and then go up the next day. But I'd be looking at 2600 and 2570 on the way down. If we lose 2570, then it wouldn't be that, it would be this. I would look at 25, well, the low we put in here, 2540, let's say, 2535, right? Does that make sense? So kind of this zone. I, you know what though, if we do lose ascending support, this would count this circle I'm doing here, this 2540, and it could hold. You could have like a fake flush, but because gold is so strong for reasons we all know, it could find support below, and it's not immediately below. It's a couple of bucks, you know. So that would count, and then otherwise you got this. I don't think we need to cover going. Well, then I might as well 2480. But I don't think I'm going to draw anything in there. So there you go. Those are the three on the way down. On the way up, you've got this high of last week, 26. Let's call it 2670. Just give it benefit of the doubt. And then after that, of course, you got this obvious level, 27, let's call it 15, might be 2720. Bam, bam. So there you go, that's gold. Silver, let's see what silver's doing today after this smash. 30, we're at 30, that's a level. And this little level here, 29, let's call it 2960, let's call it 60. The low from here, the time we flushed 30, which was actually when we were having a nice ascending support being made with gold, it kind of flushed, and on a closed basis it held, but then we violated again. So this ascending I removed, which I think makes sense. So we've got two levels. We've got 30, which is a general area psychological level of support. We know that. And then you got just underneath 30, which is probably the real support, which we've tagged twice now, 2960. Let's call it 65, 60. Today, again, we're down quite a bit, 1.75% or something, which doesn't surprise me if gold's down 1%. If 30 holds, it's kind of an irrelevant day. I know it's quite a bad day, but it doesn't violate anything. So we could just call it another sideways day, basing, because ultimately, if you don't take out this 2965, or if you don't take out this 3150, it's just all the same stuff. It's just sideways. So let's just wait and see. Obviously, not great, because if we had a nice update, it would look really good. If you switch this around, if you had an up 2% day, it would take us all the way up next to 3150. And then you could talk about tomorrow going back up to, 33, which used to be absolute breakout zone. So but otherwise, even though it's bad, I don't want to spin it positively, but it is a sideways day, just like gold, until something gets violated. Now, if we do lose this 2965-ish, the next level, that would be quite disappointing. But the next level would be, yeah, 28 with a little tail possibility. But I think if you flush that, you're gonna have a lot of support before you start playing with the flushes at 28. So 28, basically. Normally it's every 50 cent increments, but 29 is too close. The flush will probably take you to, you could probably find support at 28.50, but real support is 28. But since it's quite a drop, it might be 28.50 initially before that extra 1 or 2 days of further flush takes you to 28. But that wouldn't be great. Remember though, if you zoom out, it's 26. That was the real breakout zone. That's like the 2000 breakout. Silver is underperforming gold, so that's why we're already talking about that breakout zone. But even if you're at 28, it's not as bad as being at 26. But even hitting 26 is still overall not breaking the trend. It's just really worsening the chart. That kind of damage takes extra long to recover from and build the bounce back up to 35. But yeah, and even if you take out 26 and you come trade in this ascending zone, I've heard people talk about this 24, the super bears. You're still in the bullish. You haven't destroyed the bullish pattern. You've just damaged it. So let's see what happens. So far, it's just sideways. On the way up, yeah. So you want to take out this 3150 on a closed basis. This is a level, but honestly, if you close above 3150, you're not going to really stop there. You're going to go higher and you're going to start testing this descending. It'd be like 33 or so. But it depends how long it takes, because if it takes too long, then a breakout here above this descending could take you straight up to 35 actually. So Let's see. I don't want to talk about the positive case just now because it looks like we're several days away from that. Let's look at the minors. You know, I want to start with the seniors instead of going straight to the juniors. It really does make more sense. The minors, well, we haven't had that 1% drop in gold priced in yet. That'll probably take us all the way back down. But I've gone through all the support and resistance levels already. So I'll just show. I want to keep it simple. So for me, support, I could start being cute. There's a gap here. And actually, today we may just close this gap. I got 36.20 on the way down for GDX. We may just hit that. I don't know how much of a move down that is from the close on Friday. 4%. It could do it. It could definitely do it. That would kind of accommodate a minus 1% drop in gold. So 36.20 gap fill GDX. Also, it was a zone from back here. But this is not even the real level. The real level is this ascending support. All right. I should have made it a bigger circle. I don't really have time to get cute with the shapes and the size of my yellow squiggles, which are quite a new development for me. But this is the real support. This ascending GDX support. And I'm going to call that 35.50. And that's a big drop. And if we lose that, then the next level will actually be this horizontal, which is so close that it kind of is the same thing, which is again why it should be a nice big squiggle. So, but yeah, 35, just under 35.50, right? Between 35.20 and 35.50, that zone is your support, your real support for GDX. Now, obviously, gold has its own support, and gold's support will also come into play to help GDX wherever that might be at that point. But first level, little mini support will be 36.20, which we may see today. On the way up, you got the high of last week. So we got this, is it last week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanksgiving didn't count or whatever. I don't know, maybe. And we got this level here, 38.50, let's call it. A close above that, we can start looking at the higher. But I can't think about that without gold at least starting to move back up. But there you go. Those are the levels, and you can see all the other levels after that. That makes sense. These two, they'll be small levels. I mean, once you've taken this out, you may stop off here, but really, it's all about going back to the old highs. But it's very difficult to imagine that right now. You know what? Let's look at senior silver. This one's quite easy to read, I think. So we did actually outperform the juniors, obviously, but also the GDXJ, the gold juniors. So Sil was kind of closing near its highs up here. It had a decent week. If you're really uh if you really zoom in and you compare it to the other miners, Sil was quite good. Now, obviously, we're gonna have a bad day today. I've got support, this ascending support. We kind of broke ascending support a little bit here, but not too much. So I want to give it the benefit of doubt. In fact, you know what? Let me just cheat and readjust it. There you go. And also, given the fact that Friday's close was quite good, we may actually retest and stay within the ascending. But if we don't, we do have this level here. You can see how clear it was. Resistance, support. Even here, we're off by a few cents. So they're about right. So ascending support will be around 35, big round number. If we lose it, I'm going to say about 34, just above 34. What is this? Let's say 34, 35, right? 34.30. There you go. I mean, if I was to delete this, it kind of makes more sense. Well, this one looks like it's in the midair for no reason, but there you go. Between these areas, that's what I got for SIL. Next one, let's look at GDX. Oh, on the way up, sorry, of course. And imagine we had an update this morning, and if it stayed by the time we opened, clearly would have broken this, but a close above it is what you really want, a daily close. 30, let's call it 37, just to be completely obvious. But it's not actually, is it? It's more like 36.80. Close above 36.80. And your next stop is, in my opinion, 39, which is a nice move. There's no point in looking how much of a percentage difference it is from here because we're definitely opening lower, but that's a big 7% move. That would be a great day. And that sort of silver going back up to the high is kind of confirmation. Yeah, and then the next levels are here and here, and obviously the next one will be the old high, but that's not going to happen for several days at the least. GDXJ, the ascending's gone here, so no point. Or is there some other ascending that I haven't seen? This maybe doesn't matter. If it's not really working, I'll leave the horizontals. So first level is down here. We'll probably test that today if things stay as they are. 46.40, right? So there's your low. Next low is the old low, just below 45. Let's call it 45, but it's just below 45, really. I don't think we're going to be testing that because that should be too much of a percentage move. 6% is asking too much today. 2.5% is easily done. We may even do 4% GDX. Um, you could test that if it gets a bit worse today, but that would be the low of day. Like it opens there and bounces, and then it could end up being a decent candle. It's all about the candle. I feel like the miners are not really underperforming the metals too much. So who knows? We could get a constructive like a constructive down day to try and be a bit more realistic, but still keeping it positive. So we could have a candle that gets bad, but by the close it looks okay. But anyway, these are the two levels. I got 46, 40, and then I got just under 45. Obviously, this is the next level. We're not going to test that today. On the way up, which I doubt we're going to do, 49, basically the old high up here. And once you take that out, then I've got this little level here. You can see why, because of this area. 50.5. It's not even 50, it's 50.5 in my opinion. 50, yeah. And then we go up, but otherwise we're not testing that. So there you go. That's GDXJ. SILJ, that's the weakest one. You can clearly see it already. It makes sense. It's silver, which is underperforming gold. It's the juniors, which has been underperforming the seniors. The old low down here, 11.6, should be, it's clear support, but I don't know if it's going to be strong support because we're so low. We could just open below it. We could open at the gap. 11.4 is the one underneath that. Do I need to start looking at levels after that? I've got this general line, but to be honest, it's time to be more precise. That's a general level. It will be here. That's really your next level. And then after that, it's this supreme support. But look how close we are to the lows down here. Jesus. So it's time to consider the percentage moves because although it looks nearby, yeah, 2.5%, not even to get to this 11.5 zone, we could flush, we could be trading below that today. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we open at 11.4 and then we work our way back up and then close above. Hopefully we rally and then close above 11.6. And then you've still got another candle where you haven't really violated this 11.6 zone because if you open here but then close there, it becomes a nice hammer. And that's what I mean. You could have like a constructive down day where you're just putting more bottom. It's like more bottoming action. And then hopefully you buy it, but you buy it when the candle looks really bad. If we start to flush, I don't think we're going to go down here today, but 10.8 is the next level I've got. As you can see, I might as well put this one in. Those are levels. I'm looking forward to a sort of like at low of day, maybe nibble. And if gold and silver can rally and the miners outperform the metals, that would make this zone worth it, like this bottoming action. And then all of a sudden you have an up day and then it just looks super bullish and we charge up higher. That's best case scenario. Yeah, on the way up, I've got this level as your first real level resistance. You've got a bit of resistance here, but I just decided to put it here because that's the clear zone that once you break above that, you're going higher. So for me, that's 12.4. And then you've got this little pre-gap, post-gap, this high, this little zone. There's a bit of a gap. So I put it in the middle. And then here, I just did a bit of an average, but we're far from that. Who cares about this being off 5 cents? If you're up there, you're having a great time. So there you go. Those are the mines. I'd say well, the silver junior is definitely underperforming. Um, we're still near the bottom and looks like we're going to be testing the bottom in some of them. It's just we need the miners to start outperforming the metals ever so slightly. And that could be a signal that the bottom is in. But otherwise, gold was looking okay, but this morning it just doesn't look that good. Let's look at the individual miners. So Newmont close at low of day. That's not going to do too well. And I've heard a lot of talk about Newmont and Barrick and how poor they've been. Obviously, all in sustaining costs. And there's a reason for them being down. Obviously, I don't really think this was warranted too much in Newmont, but the market is still punishing the ones that are just not performing that well. And you got others like Agnico Eagle, by the way, just to jump the gun a little bit. It's just so much better. And that's the way the market is. It rewards the better ones. So, and that's why I spread my miners because you never know. Imagine being all in on Newmont and not holding anything else. It'd be pretty disappointing. All right, so Newmont closed at low of day. Today, no doubt it'll go lower. I've got this little level here. This will be violated almost immediately. The old low, or to be honest, yeah, this is really the level. I was wondering why I don't have this in. So 40 is a serious level of support. Psychological, it was here. We were also bouncing off 40.5, but really the real level is 40. I don't think we get to 40 today, do we? We could. We actually could. You know what? This, I'm going to remove it. It's just so close and it's so irrelevant. I'm going to delete it. I was trying to be too cute there, but that would have been a gap fill. So 40 is your real level. We might just test it today. And again, let's see how much we bounce from there. It could make a really nice bottoming candle. Otherwise, resistance, I got all the way up here, 43.5-ish. And then we go up here, 45 is basically 45, really. That's your level. And then you go up there, you can see where there's support and resistance, 46.5, and then all the way up here, 49. So I've got all those levels. This one might not be too, I mean, once you're closing above 43.5, you're probably going to go up quite a lot. And this is going to be like a little intraday, or maybe for one day you stop off here, but the real resistance would be there. That's why I didn't color this one in yellow. So there you go. That's what I got for Newmont. Barrick Gold, a bit like Newmont, closed near low of day. It is near a small support, but you can see that it should be violated with the 1% drop in gold if that holds. Next level will be 16.5. So I got 16.5, 17.3, and then all the way up here. I mean, this is a bit of a zone, isn't it? That's the high of the last 2 weeks, but otherwise up here, 18.5 pre-gap, post-gap, and then this is a difficult one to call. It's just you can't just say that's your resistance because there's something in the middle. This is in between, and it's 19.5. It's a bit of a level. This one I might be off by quite a few cents. It might not even exist, to be honest. This one I'm not too confident in, but the others should be levels. Barrick Gold, a bit like Newmont, weak, not as weak as Newmont, but both will see a bit of a drop today. I guess it's about how much they recover. Agnico Eagle, super strong. I've just gone through that. These levels seem far away and like they'll never be touched, actually. But yeah, otherwise, I got this 76, 78, just above 78. This zone, I'm trying to do a bit of a midway point for all these little wicks. I'm going to call it 80.8. That is probably the one zone you'll test because Ignico is so strong. So today we'll probably drop a little bit, but it'll get bought up as usual. If we do have a sustained drop, 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 days, you could get back to this 80 point, let's call it 80.5. Otherwise, look at this though. You got this 85 zone. Who knows? You could even get a green day. Agnico is just always strong. It's like the Nvidia of the mining shares. But 85, you close above 80.5. These, of course, I'm not going to squiggle them in yellow because you're just going to go straight to the old highs. These are just intraday stop off points. So I feel like removing them, but they're a bit obvious as levels. So I just leave them. It's a habit I've got, but they don't deserve a little yellow squiggle. So once you clear 85, you go straight back up to 89. Right, Pan American Silver. Now that one for a silver mine is doing okay. You can see the close wasn't at low of day like the others. We lost a bit, almost closed some gaps, but it's kind of a good close for a silver stock. That'll be destroyed straight away, of course, if everything holds today. But this ascending support remains in place. And Pan America is quite strong compared to the other silver miners. So, and you could go all the way down to 21 today, and the candle will look really bad. They've lost ascending. But if you start to recover a little bit, just a little bit, then by the close, you've reclaimed the ascending, and this trend line just gets even stronger. So I'm going to leave this ascending in, of course, and I'm going to call it 21.3. It's about the close, though. I could be off by a few millimeters on the line, but it's about the close. And I think if you can close above this sort of, especially these, like up this little line there, then the ascending is still there. Otherwise, if you were to lose it, you've still got this kind of zone. What's this? 20 point. I'm gonna call it. This big candle here, the low from the drop, 20.7, right? Otherwise, you got 20.7. You could tag that, and then sort of, you could always get rid of this ascending, and then it just becomes this curl you can create without the ascending. 20.7 is very important though. The low of this candle. If you lose that, you're gonna go to a pre-gap line here, just below 20, then the post gap, then the low of here. I think all of these make sense. I just didn't put squiggles, but it's all obvious for the trained eye. We're not going to be testing all those today. On the way up, then it would have been this high up here, 23.20. It's actually really 23, but just to be sure, 23.20. And then here you got a little pre-gap, post-gap, the old highs. We are far from that. Next one is Wheaton. Wheaton's been okay, as usual. That's the high of the week. That's the high of this whole bounce. I think that makes sense. That's the pre-drop high. I think we're far from those, but those are quite obvious. I'm quite confident in those levels. On the way down, you got this little drop here. If we keep going down, you go all the way down here, 58. Right, so that's Wheaton. Next one would be Metalla. Metalla's okay, middle of the road, middle of two levels. So on the up, we've got 3.2 as resistance. Got to close above that before we can start venturing into the closing of the gap. Otherwise, on the way down, we do have this mini level at 2.95. I can't believe we're talking about under 3. We were at 4 just a few weeks ago. Got this little, but really the real level is the low from the flush, 2.8, which is a wildly low level. I'm not going to even discuss anything below that. Today, we have to look at 2.8. We'll probably be under 3 for a little bit, but I'm more interested in 2.95 holding. But otherwise, the real level of support should be here. We should not be violating 2.8. Otherwise, it's really about 3.2 closing the gap and going back up here. Now back to the silver stocks. Oh, First Majestic is weak. Look at that poor close. The level of support is under 6. It's this 5.95-ish zone. I mean, it should be 6. It's just below 6. We may even have to talk about 5.87. I'm going to put 2 lines because 5.87 be your backup, but really I'm still back at this just under 6 zone. So this level between here, that'll be a zone of support. Now we're not going down here, but that's the next level. That's all I need to say about that. 5.25, 5.3. Let's see. We could have one of those, like I was saying, you venture here during the day or maybe at the open, but then you close around 6, and that's good enough to say that we're holding this zone. And that could be dare I say it, a constructive day for First Majestic. You want to see some outperformance, some dip buying, like, silver down 2%, First Majestic down 1.8 or down 2.2. That's good. Silver's down 2%. You know what I mean? If First Majestic is down the same amount as silver, that's actually quite a good day. Or tuna, that's okay. This was like creeping up relative to others, given like First Majestic's down here and Fortuna's all the way up here. So Fortuna's surprised me a bit with its relative strength. Still close at low of day there on the week. Have a little level here, but that'll be violated immediately. The support is down here, so 4.5-ish. Really, 4.4 is your supreme level of support. If we lose that, we have clear levels, horizontal levels, 4.15 and then 3.85. I don't think we're going to even violate 4.4 today. We may test it though on the way up, which was looking possible. But obviously we've got a big red day right now. But $5, close above 5, you're testing this very important 5.3, which is also descending. And that could, who knows, that could be tested in 3 days if you just have a nice strong day to like a decent reversal day, intraday, and then the next 2 days are strong. 5.3 is very interesting because that's an innocent looking horizontal level, but it's really about this descending. You break that, you're immediately testing this 5.5. And to be honest, Fortuna couldn't even crack 5.5 when we were at 35 bucks with silver. And here you could be testing it quite quickly. So point is, if silver starts to resume its rise, difficult to imagine now, I think Fortuna could go straight back up to 6 point, whatever this is, 6.3, 6.5, just because of how strong it is now after silver dropping quite a lot. So Fortuna, I've actually been thinking a little bit about during the weekend, and this is impressive. Today will be a disappointing day, but it has no choice. But you see what I mean? You take this out, you're immediately testing where we were when we were at 35 bucks silver. And this gap will be filled if that kind of momentum holds. And if you fill the gap, to be honest, you're not just going to fill the gap, you're going to test the old highs. So not bad for tuna. Next is Cœur d'Arlène. That's obviously doing quite well because of the merger, I believe. That closed at low of day like everything else. You got a level here, 6 bucks, big round number, clear technical level already. Do we test that? We might. We might test that, but that'll hold today, I think. Otherwise, that clear level underneath, which is quite far away, we're not testing that today. That's 5.5. After that, I got this 5.2. And after that, you can see where the levels are. They're pretty clear. There's no ascending, I think. No, there's no ascending. I mean, you can always create a new ascending, but we don't need to. We don't need to. Although, maybe. No, I won't bother. Now, on the way up, yes, it's the high of this week. What was that 2 weeks ago? I don't know. 6.8. That'll be your level. You close above that, to be honest, you're probably storming all the way back up to the old highs as long as silver um, can support you. The price of silver needs to kind of go up with you. And you got these little checkpoints on the way up. But to be honest, you close above 6.8, I think you're going all the way up, back up to the highs. Like I said, as long as silver's going up with you. So there you go. Those are all the little levels. It's good when I've just already marked it in yellow. I don't need to repeat or go over them. This silver crest kind of follows the same trajectory, so it's extra confirmation of CD. Those charts are just absolutely identical, and I think it makes sense if they're going to merge. Right, Heckler, weak, not the weakest one, definitely not the strongest one, not as good as Fortuna or Curl Darlene, but maybe better than First Majestic. Not the best candle, close at low of day. We've got strong support though here. This 5.2 zone is, it should be super strong. Now it was already, because again, it's ascending. So it was super strong there. And I remember saying support is 5.4, but really support is here because of the ascending. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know. I haven't made that many videos. I've been living mobile. That's the reason I haven't been, I've been like renting out 2 apartments and just living like a camp, like a gypsy. Um, but otherwise, I would have definitely mentioned that. That lifestyle ends in a week, by the way, so I can be back to more regular scheduled programming. But I remember saying, look, 5.4 should be obvious support because of these wicks, but really it's the ascending, and that's what happened. It ignored these and just bounced on ascending. And I gotta say the same again. It's the ascending, it's 5.2, and also it's going to be now extra strong because of the low we put in on this day. So the little horizontal line to go with it. So 5.2 is your level. If we lose that, we're all the way down here, but we're not doing that today. I can imagine losing 5.2 today, but reclaiming it by the close. I'm going to leave it like this for now. Let's see what happens, but I'm pretty confident that this zone kind of holds. EXK, this one, not that strong. I mean, look how close we are to the lows we've put in. I mean, we tested the lows on Friday. So EXK didn't close at low of day, but it's overall weak. But I like the chart. Am I allowed to say that? Got this ascending support. So we will probably lose this 4.10 zone, but 4 will be a level. And I'm not drawing a line at 4 because there is no line here. It's a psychological level. It's the ascending. So this is, I might be off by 6 or 7 cents, but it's the ascending. We will go below. We could even go to 3.9. Who knows, 3.8, and we'll reclaim. And maybe we close below 4, but I still think you're gonna have a close that justifies the ascending. And then we'll see. And then you can maybe, from there climb out of this hole. But I like the chart. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's quite readable. There are levels I could put extra levels. It'll be fun to sell on the way up because I think there are clear levels. Like here, there's one, next one's there with the descending, then there's a gap fill, then there's this. There are lots of little levels, and I think it will do well when silver bounces. So this line I'm not too sure about. I feel like removing it. I'm not too sure about that one. Doesn't deserve to be there. Let's see. I'm actually quite confident that this holds this four just under $4 ascending support. So I'll leave that. Obviously, if we start to really cascade down later in the week, then that'll be your clear level of next support. Mag Silver. Oh wait, EXK on the way up. I covered that. We're far from going up. Mag Silver. Yeah, lots of sort of sideways action. Mag Silver's okay compared to the others. But here's your clear level, 14.5. I don't even think we test it today. If we test it, we don't close below it. So I'm okay with just 14.5, but I might as well show you 14. That's pretty clear, big round number. It was kind of resistance, definitely support. You could also say resistance over here, by the way. So, zoom out. That's the level. In fact, when you zoom out, you can see how clear it is. And then you got the ascending below. So you got these little 1, 2, 3 machine gun support levels. I'm not going to bother here, pre-gap, post-gap, blah, blah, blah. But these will all hold. And in fact, I think 14.5 will hold. Resistance will be the high that we put in since the bounce of the flush. That's 16, big round number. After that, I've got this little 16.8 stop off point and obviously the old high. I mean, Mag Silver, you could see if we had 1 or 2 good days, if today was a big silver day, you could already test 16 and you could start looking at the next 2 levels. So it's not unrealistic to cover those already. Okay, next one is Aris Mining, which had a dramatic flush. It was some Colombian some law that passed, but I don't even think it applies to Aris Mining. But anyway, the market, I could be wrong. I'm not that great at covering individual miners. I don't have time to look at all the miners, but especially the ones in Colombia. But anyway, I like this stock. I don't think it's too justified if I read the news correctly. But anyway, the market thought so. That's all that matters. Close at low of day, down 7%, which is not too big. We're going to go back here, right? So technically speaking, this is your level of support. It's this 3.6, which by the way, look, this is 2023, right? And it was rallying before the others. So this has had a monumental move. Well, actually, not monumental. Others have had bigger moves, but it started before everyone else. Now we're testing a zone that we haven't tested in a while. And this is a good stock. This is just because of the law that's passed. Maybe that's justified. But this should be a really strong level of support. So I haven't been buying this stock at all. This is the lowest valued miner I have because it never really reached a low level. Um, I don't know, just others were always more attractive. But I'll tell you what, a 3.6 or below, I'm interested and I'll buy it easily because I'll just add to it because it's worth so much less than the others. So this will be an easy add today. I think I'm going to add it today. Maybe at 3.6. Who knows if it opens lower, then it'll be lower. 3.5 to 3.6. You can see the ascending support though. Look at that. And also these clear levels like this level here, clear, right? It was resistance over here. This is like almost whatever years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Um, don't want to say it's really, and also support here and also support there. So recent level of, so yeah, 3.5 to 3.65. Next is I Am Gold. This one, very good. Very, very good. This one. I Am Gold. First of all, it closed at the high of day. That's already a way of differentiating yourself from the others. It's quite elevated. It's very strong compared to the others. So here, I mean, I know we're having a bad day, but so far, but I'm going to look at resistance first. So 5.75, the high of, let's say, the last 2, 3 weeks. Then you've got this absolute pump high. So you've got to take that out, 5.9. So 5.75, 5.9, and then you look at the old highs, 6 and 6. 40. It's strange talking about these highs, but that's how strong I am gold has been. Support, well, honestly, this is a level also, the low of last week, 5.25. But otherwise, of course, it's down here, 4.9, and then down here. It's been so strong, there's no point in talking about anything below 4.9, but there you go, just in case. Those are the levels. So I am gold, very, very interesting, very, very strong. B2 gold, you can see Friday did quite well, right? It's sustained its move up, tagged resistance. I got resistance at 2.95. Basically, the high of Friday is resistance, and it also coincided quite well with this. So 2.95 is your resistance. After that, there's really no clear resistance for me until 3.25, and then the old high. These are massive moves, and we're in a big red day, so we're not going to be going there. Support, I just want to say 2.65. I don't think we'll get there today. We'll stop off somewhere on the way. I'll just leave it like that. Equinox, this one's also quite good. Quite clear levels of support. No need for these little small uh mini zones of resistance or support. You've got this strong descending support resistance line, right? Which it tagged on Friday. But you also got this horizontal just above. That's why I made this big X to sort of cover both in one go. So between 5.7 and 5.8, that's your resistance. You take that out, you're going all the way up here, 6.10. And then after that, you got the old high, 6.5. On the way down, I've got this level here. I don't even think we tested today, but that'll be the low if we do 5.3. It's a little gap. It's also a bit of a support, bit of, yeah, 5.3. You can, not too many ways of saying it, if we even get there. And after that, the old low, which is this 5 psychological number, horizontal level of support, and ascending, long-term ascending. This is extremely strong support, 5, which should be. You see what I mean? There's like 3 reasons: ascending, horizontal, psychological. So, and then we're not even going to take out this, I think, 5.3. So you can see there are some miners that are really different from, like Equinox, Iron Gold. Just trying to think off the top of my head. Not really a silver CDE or Fortuna, relatively speaking, but they're not that strong compared to Iron Gold and Equinox and Agnico Eagle. Those are the strongest one off the top of my head. All right, SSRM. Honestly, for a stock that got crushed with bad news, this is during or just before the Trump drop. What a recovery, you know. Okay, close near low of day. I've got support here. This is not strong support. This is like this might even be stronger support, but given the fact we're having a bad day, I don't know. I might just add these 2 days in a row. It could be low of the week. It could be relevant for today only. I'll leave it in. So let's see if 5.65 holds. Otherwise, this should hold 5.5, big round number. Otherwise, all the way down to the old lows of $5. I don't think we're going there again. Period. That's how impressed I am with the recovery. Resistance, clearly $6, big round number, clear resistance. That's all I need to say about that. 6. After that, you got this little 6.25, which is just a stop off point to the old high. If we had a big update today, it would have been, let's see if we can close above 6 and then test the old highs. It would have been really good actually for some of the stocks if we had an update. But who knows? Something crazy could happen. We could just reverse and have an update, but that's not going to happen. But SSRM quite good, quite strong compared to the others. SBSW, what a shame what's happening today because look at that, close at high of day, holding $4, huh? I guess $4 is a level. But this otherwise I have 3.94, 3.9, 3.8, just all these 10 cents. Strong, it's just strong. And it should be because we're absolutely at the lows. Can always go lower. But I guess that's why it's finding strength maybe earlier than I thought. So yeah, you can see where I think support is just in case we violate 3.8. On the way up, well, I should have something before this 4.5, and I guess it's kind of this zone. It's hard to be precise with SBSW, but 4.3, we haven't really closed above that. And then yeah, 4.5, and then the old high 5.2, and then 5.8. It's all about closing above, or 5.9 rather. Let's see. It's a shame we had a really nice day on Friday, but today we're probably gonna undo the good we've done on Friday. That'll do. Strange time to do a video Monday morning. and already we've got a big drop. I just found it so hard to do videos recently because I've got this chaotic camper lifestyle. It's ridiculous, but it should end in a week. So there you go. Let's see what happens. Good luck to all of us. I think we it depends, right? There's a lot of moving parts, but I think there are definitely some miners that are stronger than others, really. And if we had gold just bounce from here, they would be making new highs quickly. Some are weaker and look like they'll make new lows. And if gold and silver don't help, that's imminent. But overall, I do feel like we're in a bit of a bottoming phase. So it's all about how those candlesticks can be forged because even though we're going to have down days, we could, have good closes and end up having like a bottoming looking candles and these hammers, and it's the best to buy, isn't it? It's after the fact, they look good by the close, and it's during the worst parts of the day that you got to buy them when the candle looks bad. So it's quite difficult. But let's see. Good luck to all of us.